Hello, 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 my lovely friends. And happy, what's it today? Wednesday. I hope you're doing great. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to bring you another episode of the show. How are you doing? If you can hear me, leave me leave me a comment in the chat. Let me know you can hear me. How is everybody doing? Okay, so today I just released a podcast episode on the Clever Writer podcast. That is my podcast because these days we can't trust these social media giants to keep all of our content on here. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about this today on the show. All right, about having your own media as opposed to housing all your content, all your assets on other people's platforms. Do not do that this week. If you don't know, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, three huge social media platforms that people use. Well, WhatsApp is more of a messaging platform, but people actually run their businesses on there. Went down. They went down for almost 6 hours, right? And I think it highlighted a lot of things for a lot of people. But in chatting with you all today, I'm going to be, hey Helena, I'm going to be talking about as writers the importance of us having our own websites. Okay, last week on the live call, on the live video, I think Patricia had asked a question about the cost of different tools when it comes to being a writer, right? And there are so many free tools out there. So many free tools out there. So I don't want you to feel like if you don't have a lot of money to get started, that you cannot get started. Now, definitely, as you move on in your career, I do want you, if you listen to me often, I do want you to invest in yourself. I do want you to invest in better tools. But if you're just starting out, and you want to set up a writer website. Okay, let's start from writer website. So today we're talking about tools that writers need in their businesses. Okay, tools that you need as a writer. The first thing, you need your writer website. Okay, you need your writer website. Now, as I was saying earlier this week, today's podcast, I was talking about the difference between a freelance writer and being a full-time agency writer right now. And I kind of like talked about the differences. So if you haven't checked out that episode, look for the Clever Writer podcast and then listen to that episode. But in that episode, I talk about the differences. But the one thing that's common between both of them is that whether you're looking for a full-time writing position or you are a freelance writer pitching gigs, people want to see that you have a home base somewhere. People want to see that, especially, you have a home base where you are keeping and housing your work. Okay, now I've talked in the past about you can write on places like LinkedIn or medium.com, but again, we do not own these platforms. Okay, I always want you to remember, if there is something that you should take away from me at all, okay, it's that as a writer, you're going to need your own website. Yes, you can use LinkedIn and Medium and all these other places to give insights and to give some taste and flavor of your work. Okay, yes, you can do this. All right, but it's important for you to remember that ultimately, if those platforms go down, or if those platforms decide to close down, well, all your good work is gone with them. Okay, and that's not such a great thing for it to happen to you. So for the people that were completely dependent on platforms like, again, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp on Monday, they were freaking out. Okay, but there is a way you can set yourself up that you don't freak out. Now, when it comes to owning your website, I highly recommend that you get a website with your name. Now, I have genontra.com, and it's easy for me to use that for so many things. I can do genontra.com/writer. I can do genontra.com/speaker. I can do genontra.com/ a lot of things. Now, the reason why getting a website in your name, and this is not just for my writers out there, if you're a service provider, you can either set up a business and then make the website your business name, or alternatively, make it your name. And I'm going to tell you why making your website your name ultimately helps you win in the long run. So, the reason why this is important is because, you know, all of us change, right? All of us change. And if you're liking what I'm saying so far, make sure to hit that like button on YouTube. If share this out, if you're on here and you think somebody else will find this useful. Our desires and what we want to do change over time. Once upon a time, I had a blog, my online biz journey. It is still around. And on that blog, I wrote almost everything, right? Everything from starting courses on Udemy to what I was learning about Facebook. It was like a jumble of things. Yes, eventually that blog grew to a large audience and it helped me do a lot of things. But over time, I wasn't so interested in writing about social media. I wasn't really interested in always writing about different business types. I was really wanting to hone in on talking about freelance writing and writing as a profession. And not just freelance writing or writing content for others, but also I wanted to share my forays into self-publishing, nonfiction books, and now I'm writing fiction books as well. So I really wanted my brand to be about making money as a writer. Well, when it's gnontra.com, right? Nobody knows what it's about until they get there. And if somewhere along the line I decide I want to change, I'm not going to change it. I want to change gnontra.com to talking about, I don't know, some other business model 10 years down the line. Well, I still own that website. It's still my name, right? And I don't have to change much except to announce that I've changed directions. And I've seen this happen a lot in my own career as a creator online, as a creative entrepreneur online, where the people that I used to follow and they used to talk about one thing, and over time they've evolved, but they still have the website under their name, and the website has been able to evolve with them. So, as a service provider, as a writer, whether you work with an agency or you work with a company or you're a freelance writer, having a website with your own name is always a big win. You can never go wrong with that because it's your name. Okay. And you can switch things around. I don't recommend that you do this too much, but you can switch things around as much as you want. And I remember back when when I was really actively writing on my online biz journey, when my desires and tastes kind of changed, I was beginning to lose traffic because I wasn't producing the same kind of content I used to produce. And it was weird, right? And so I have that website still, but now I mostly direct people to my Gnontra website. I have my speaker page there. If people want to hire me to write for them, I have some stuff there. I have my podcast house there, and so every creative endeavor I pursue under writing as my brand, which is what I continue to do, right, can go on gnontra.com. So that's the first thing. If you're thinking, okay, what should my website name be? Don't even think about overthink it. Like, let it be your name. Some people will even, let's say, if some people, when they have a very common name, let's say you're Jane Doe, and there's so many Jane Does in the world, and there's already Jane Doe is already taken, you can maybe choose a domain name that's janedoewriter.com or janedoethewriter.com or janedoewrites.com, right? But it has your name and it has rights or whatever it is that you want to put in there. But if you can get the domain for your name, just grab that. Okay, I even know people that would buy domain names for their children and just park them. They don't even create a website for that. They just buy the domain name and keep them in case the kids grow up and want to have a website under their name. So having a website under your name, always a win. Okay. Now, once you have decided on what your domain name is going to be, the next step is actually getting the website. I have always used WordPress, and I've used WordPress self-hosted sites. The company that I use is Siteground, and I'm going to put a link. This is my affiliate link. You can use it if you wish. If you do, it's no additional cost to you, but it's just, something that you can use. I use a company called Siteground. Okay. So now when you go to siteground.com, and let me know, Kristen, can you guys still hear me? I don't see much in the chat, so I never really know. Is this helpful so far? Does this answer a question about your website name? Because I know I get that question quite a bit. It's like, what should I name my website? So let me know if the thing about naming your website was helpful. All right. I know there are other ways to name your website, but I found that you can never go wrong with having a website under your own name. Never. Okay. Now, now another thing, I use SiteGround. So what you end up doing, you don't have to do much. You just go to siteground.com. Usually, their hosting costs between five to $6 per month, but they do charge it for a year. So you're looking at $60-$70 for that first year, all right, of hosting your website with SiteGround. All right, so now you pay that, and you can then go ahead and you can call them. SiteGround is really, really great about this. I love them because of their great customer service. There have been times when I've needed to do something really technical that Googling and YouTube, searching on YouTube wasn't helpful. I just called them. Their tech team helped me. Okay. So don't even stress it. Like once you go there, you register your domain name, get your self-hosting, and you'll see. Let me navigate to their website and then show you guys. So let's do that so that you guys can see exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes I forget I have the ability to share my screen. Okay, here we go. So let me do that. So right here, this is SiteGround, okay? When you go to SiteGround, you can just go up here where it says hosting. You can go specifically to WordPress hosting. I use WordPress. I haven't really used other platforms much. And as you can see, they have plans from $3.99 all the way to $10.99. I say that as a writer just getting started, just go with the lower plan, okay? And you can get this plan and then scale it up to however. Usually they charge you for a year, but you can buy it for 2 years, 3 years, so on and so forth. They have all these other services, but the one thing that the most important thing is getting started, right? So just get started. That's how you get started. All right. Now, once you are able to buy your hosting, okay, once you're able to buy your hosting and then get your domain name and then connect those, okay, you are going to now log into WordPress. Now, I'm not going to give a WordPress tutorial. There's thousands of WordPress tutorials on YouTube. Just find a good one, watch it, and set it up. But I do want to talk about a few components that will make your writer website keep it going. Your writer website doesn't need to be complex, to be honest. It just needs a few things. And if you check out my book, We're Not Freelance Writing, I go over some of those things. But again, let's share this. So the most important thing is going to be, okay, so this is my website. And actually, since I'm logged in, let me go into the dashboard of jeanentre.com. So this is jeanentre.com. This is what the WordPress dashboard looks like. Okay, in order to get started with, your website, you're just going to add a new page. Okay, so you add a new page and then you can create the pages from there. But let's go back to the website. The major things, my website is a little bit more complicated. So don't worry if you see all these things. It's just whatever. But the biggest thing you want to have on your website, okay, and I'm going to go to my writer page. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Let's go back. Anyway, that being said, if you haven't downloaded this 7-step checklist, you should. Just go to jeanentre.com/writer checklist. You'll be able to find that. But that was not what I was trying to show you. So I will pull that up, .com/writer. Okay. All right. Now, I've been doing this for a little bit. So I do have testimonials from former clients and so on. But the if you don't have clients, it's okay. It's okay. But this is the page that is going to be super crucial to your success as a writer. Now, when people come to my writer page, they immediately see testimonials from clients I've worked with. These are real people I've worked with. These are not like stock photos or anything, the real pictures of people. All right. And then I say, hey, you need a great content writer? I'm your girl. Okay. And then I talk about myself. I don't even talk about myself. I just say, I'm Gertrude Donch. I'm a reliable content writer. And here's how I can help you. I can help you with blog posts, white papers, website copy, books. And I'm also a ghostwriter. I talk about the niches in which I write. I also provide some samples of my work. And then this pricing is outdated. I need to update it soon. But then I give them the pricing and then a way to contact me. So there are a few parts of this page I want you to pay attention to. Okay. There are a few portions of this page. So great. Let me answer a question here. Patricia says, with WordPress, can you make changes, or does a VA webmaster have to make all those changes? You can make changes by yourself. Yeah. Like I said, YouTube is your friend. Right? You can make all of those changes by yourself. Definitely, like somebody like Kristen, who is my VA, will go in and make what Kristen does in my business is, for my podcast, she takes, well, amongst other things, for my podcast, she listens to the podcasts and then writes like show notes for the podcast. And she does that on her end. She lives all the way on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. She does that for me. But most of the changes on the website I do myself. So you don't need a webmaster. And actually, when you have a self-hosted website, you won't have a webmaster. You are the webmaster. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, so Kristen says, yeah, G makes all those changes. I can add to the website through a login, but yes, fully customizable. Absolutely. Okay, Vashti, hey, how are you? What video app are you using? Oh, okay, this is StreamYard. Actually, there's a little logo up here if you look up at it. It's StreamYard. It's really nice. All right, great. So let me get back to showing you the components of the writer page. You could have a one-page writer website. Okay. Now, for all my authors out there, because I know that some of you are also authors, right? So if we go back to this page, and I'll show it. Okay. So on here, a few things. Number one, who are you and what do you do? Okay. Answer that question. Who are you? What do you do? After that, nobody really cares about anything except how you can help them. This is the mistake that sometimes business owners make. They're talking about themselves, how they've been in the business for 100 years, how they have won all these awards. I'm an award-winning blah, blah, blah. Listen, okay, that's impressive, and it provides some social proof. But to be honest, when people want to buy from you, they don't care about that stuff. They really do care about, how can you help me? And so immediately after I introduce myself and say I am the writer they're looking for, I list what I can help them with. What types of content can I help them with? Okay. Then I also talk about the industries in which I write: healthcare and medicine, content marketing, creation, personal finance, personal development. I'm very well versed in these areas. I can write about these areas. Okay. Now, like I showed earlier on, the only type of social proof I used here was these testimonials from real clients. Okay. So then I go and then say who I am, all that, the content I write, the industries I write in. And then for each of the industries, okay, I provide samples of my work. Now, I have, again, this is a page I have to update. So let's click through one of these. So the client can, okay, it's still live. The client can click through, right? These are hyperlinked, and they can read. My name is right there. Okay. And they can read what it is that I created for this particular client. And these are clients that have given me permission to share this because my name is on the content. Okay. I did some of these, a lot of these were paid. Some of them were guest posts. And so if you are a freelance writer that is looking for for samples, you can just guest write on somebody else's blog and you can add that. So an example are these 3 blogs here. This one, 6 essential elements of a blog post that gets shared. I wrote this way back, I think 2018, on the Grasshopper, which Grasshopper is a software, an office software. And I wrote this for them, right, in 2017. Yep. In 2017, I wrote that for them. And this was free. I didn't get paid for this, but I am using it as a sample of the work I've done in the past. Okay. All right. So you want to list that. You want to give people a taste of your work. You want to give people a taste of your work. All right. A taste of your work. It's absolutely important. Then once you have that, you give people, sometimes you can put your pricing there, but that pricing is a whole other conversation. If you watched the live I did last week, okay, the live I did last week, I did talk about the psychology, a little bit about around the psychology and thought process behind pricing. And I talked about the fact that your pricing is not just based on a piece that you've done, it really is based on the value you're delivering, the value that you're delivering to that client. And sometimes that value is worth millions of dollars, literally. And so price accordingly. Okay. If you're going to write a piece of content for a company that is generating $250,000 every single year, well, not even year, every month. There was a situation like this once that I was involved in, where every single month, I think they were making, it wasn't even $250,000. It was more than that. I'm not going to say, but it was over $1 million, right? It would be unfair for me to tell them that I'm going to give them a $200 blog post. It's unfair to me. And it's unfair to them because maybe I won't do the best job knowing that they make that much money off of my content. Okay. So yes, maybe you will not be able to charge them $100K for one blog post, but you definitely can charge a respectable amount because you're aware that this is the industry that they play in. This is how much value you're delivering for them. So then you put your pricing, and don't put it, but you can ask them to contact you for pricing as well. And then you give them a way to reach out to you. That's another thing. People write all this beautiful stuff, then you don't give people a way for them to reach out to you. Like what's happening? What's going on? Don't do that. Okay. So that's the basics of a write-up page. So if you have nothing on the website, nothing, you at least should have a page, like a write-up page like this, where you introduce yourself, where you share the kind of work you do, you share the work you've done, and you give people a chance to reach out to you so they can work with you. Okay. All right. So that's that for a write-up page. Now, for all my authors out there, I personally have to set up an author page, but you can, again, if you're using your name as your domain name, as your website, you can have a write-up page for your freelance writing work, and you can set up a page for all your books as well. Okay. And in that instance, you can just simply share a picture. So if you go on Amazon, again, this is an example I can show you. If we go on Amazon.com right now, all right, and I share this. But here's Amazon. This is one of my books. I would say this is a bestseller, right? This is one of my best-selling books right now. And essentially, you could take a picture. So this is the Amazon sales page, but on my own website, right, I have a page called Books and Courses. And guess what? My book is there as well. And I have this link that leads them back to the Amazon page to purchase both for the ebook and the paperback. So you can also set up your a website or a page on your website for your books. This is another book I have, Content That Sizzles and Sells, and that is based on how to use content to build a personal brand, essentially, and make money off of that. And again, there are links to that. People can just click through and buy that. But even though it's on Amazon, I also have it on my website because they're my books, right? And I want people to be able to find them. So a big tool you're going to need as a writer is a writer website. And I hope that this was helpful. And yes, links for this are in the description for quick access. Absolutely. All right, so let me see some of these questions. Vashti says, thanks, GM. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I appreciate you coming to watch me today. Patricia, when writing for your clients, do you legally protect your writing? So, depending on the contract you sign, when you create content for another entity and you've been paid for it, it is no longer your intellectual property. Okay, it is theirs. And actually, most of the time, you sign contracts to that effect. This is why I write my own books. This is why I create my own content, because that's my intellectual property. What I create for my clients, it's nice and I can get paid from that, but ultimately it's not my intellectual property. If you created it and you received compensation, it's not yours. You can get a byline for writing it, right? And it's attributed to you, but it's not yours anymore. All right. So that's an important, you have to read your contracts. Another thing, this is for byline writing. If you do ghostwriting, that's even a higher thing. With ghostwriting, sometimes you would sign a non-disclosure agreement that says you sign away. You're not going to tell people that you're the ghostwriter, number one. And number two, you're signing away all the rights because of that creation, because you got paid for it. All right. Would you equally say it's effective to use LinkedIn as your portfolio site, or maybe something like Contently? Love your work. Thank you, Elena, right? Helena. Okay. Sorry if I mentioned it wrong. Let me know if I've said your name right. Would you say it's equally? LinkedIn is great, but I don't know if you were here at the beginning. I said LinkedIn is great, but please be careful about that, because LinkedIn can decide to take your content down. LinkedIn can decide to go down for 6 hours, like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp went this week. LinkedIn can do anything they want because you have created on their platform. So as much as it's amazing to create on LinkedIn, because I also create on LinkedIn quite a bit, I create on multiple platforms, including YouTube, right? I am not putting all my eggs in this basket. Actually, now I am moving a lot of I'm concentrating more on things like search engine optimization for my websites and podcasts. So yes, you can. Yes, but don't duplicate the same thing on your website. Okay. If you don't have anything, LinkedIn is great to start. But then I want you to try to, like, at some point, invest in moving things to your own website. Web hosting, I just told you, Siteground. I did the whole video thing. Let's see, Siteground. Right? So that's what you would use for web hosting. Let me show that to you. I even put the, okay, so this is what I use, Siteground, really, really helpful. Okay, if you want to use my affiliate link, it's ginaontra.com/Siteground. I would be happy. I get a commission and you get to support my work. Hey, win-win. So autoresponder, I use Active Campaign. I don't recommend it for beginners. And even for myself right now, I'm not recommending it so much because it's way more involved than I actually need. So an email autoresponder, MailChimp is a really cheap and accessible one. There's also MailerLite. That's another good one. Another good one. MailerLite. No problem, Patricia. So web hosting, Siteground, email autoresponder, I would say MailChimp or MailerLite is good for beginners. Maybe MailerLite is best for beginners. MailChimp sometimes be crazy. So MailerLite, okay? It's MailerLi. I'm going to put it Mailer. It's not like Miller Lite. It's not the beer. MailerLite. Okay, I put it in the chat. Okay, Vashi says, since as a writer we are a business and the brand, would you suggest creating an LLC in your name? Yes, you should. Should we copyright and trademark our names? Ultimately, you should. Yes. So ultimately, under worldwide copyright law, I think that the thing is, like, for instance, if I wrote a book, you can't just take my book and then take the insides of my book and start selling it. That's a breach of copyright. I can sue you for that. Even though I haven't filed a copyright on the book, as long as I have created that book, that is my intellectual property. You can't take it and then make it your own. I've heard one day somebody actually sent me a message on Instagram and they were like, hey, so could I just kind of like download somebody else's book and then put my cover on it and sell it? And I'm like, like, which universe do you live in? And why are you asking me that? You think that's the kind of person I am? Please do not do that. That's taking somebody's hard. It takes a lot of work to create these things. I'm not yelling at anybody. I'm just saying this in general. But don't do that. Nobody, like, don't do that. That's stealing somebody else's work. So should you create an LLC? Yes, Vashti, you should create an LLC. I have an LLC. My husband is the person that runs my books. And, you should have that under your LLC. Should you copyright and trademark? If there's something you absolutely want to protect, you don't want anybody to. So, for instance, some people have copyrighted certain phrases, certain names. So, they may create like a signature talk or a signature course or something like that. They will copyright slash trademark. These are two different terms, by the way. Copywriting and trademarking. They sound similar, but legally, I think they're slightly different. Okay. And so then you would want to talk with a copyright attorney who can help you file the papers for that. All right. But yes, LLC. And yes, if you want to copyright it, I haven't copyrighted or trademarked anything yet. But I do have an LLC for tax purposes. All right. Any more questions? This is a very, very engaging chat. Loved every minute of it. All right. All right. So, like I was saying, right, having your own website as a writer is no longer a luxury. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. Okay. But I do understand sometimes that people do not have all the funds to get started. But I want you to start thinking about it seriously, because no matter where you think you're putting your work, it could be taken away from you. I don't know how many of you know this. There was a video that I had on my channel, was very widely watched. One day YouTube decided to take it down. I've seen horrible videos on YouTube. Horrible. Those videos are still up. My video was taken down because they decided that they would issue a strike against it. Okay. So if I wasn't creating content on my own platform and I was only depending on YouTube, guess what? Yes, I was really, really hurt by that, by the way. But it just taught me the lesson to never depend on any external platform, no matter the platform. Okay. So that's why having your writer slash author website for your business, that's why having an LLC so that you are filing the right taxes is important. That's why eventually, if you create something that you don't want anybody, I mean, if you create anything, it's your intellectual property anyway. But if you really wanted to put that extra layer of protection, because another thing about copyright, this is such a great question, and I have to do so much more research on this myself. But another reason why copyright and trademark sometimes is good is because, let's say that my name, again, let's go back to my name. Nobody can take my name as like Jean Ontra. I don't think you can even necessarily trademark names. But let's say that I chose a name for my website, some kind of generic name like the African Writer. Okay, let's just say that. And I got the africanwriter.com, but I never trademarked that. Then there was a second person that came and then put a trademark on it. They filed the right papers, the right legal papers, and they put a trademark on the africanwriter.com, or no, just the African Writer. If they do that and they get the trademark, they could come back, even though I had the website first, they could come and do a takedown, a DMCA takedown, and tell me to change my domain name because they now own the trademark on the African writer.com, on the African writer, the words, the African writer. And I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I'd have to change it because that person owns the trademark now. Okay, this I've seen this happen to a few people on social media. I remember there was this one girl, she had a particular name. Actually, there are two people, and they were quite visible. And one of them had a podcast, one of them had a YouTube channel. They were using specific names. Somebody came and put trademarks on the names, contacted them and told them they couldn't use them anymore because they had the trademark and they had to change it, even though they used it first. Doesn't that suck? It does, but it had to happen. So yes, eventually there's a bit of money involved, but I think in the long run, it's worth it. All right, well, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. And we shall chat again this same time next week. Have a fantastic day.